Hi, welcome back. I'm here. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining us today. It was a great lesson. We'll see you again on Friday. Just kidding, April Fools. We're just starting. Welcome. Hi, everybody. We're just letting everybody sign on. Welcome. Has anyone played any April Fool's pranks today? Mia just played a good one on me. Told me her science teacher gave her tons of work to do. And that's on top of a slideshow that was originally due on Thursday, now on Monday. And I started thinking about it. And I was like, that can't be right. And then I'm like, well, April Fool's. And it was. Love a good April Fool's prank. It's more difficult to play an April Fool's prank when you only have the people in your house to play it on. And you haven't gone anywhere. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad to see a lot of new people. Hi, Isabel. Hi, Olivia. Isabel's my birthday sister. We are birthday sisters. So is Miss Lawler. She's not on probably with us, but she's a birthday sister too. Us Leos. Happy birthday to the Aries. April 1st. How's it going, everybody? Oh, someone said bye. Someone liked my prank. Someone liked my April Fool's prank. So some of you have known, happy April Fool's to you too. Some of you have known that I did figure out how to archive the videos longer than just here on Instagram. And last time at the end, I saved part of the video. And not part of it, the entire video. But it's funny because you don't have all of the different things that you guys are saying to me, all the fun. Oh, hi, Becky. Hi, Tula. Hi, Zoe. You don't have all the fun things that you're saying posted on it. So when you watch it on, hi Nora, hi Katie Rose. When you see it on Instagram, it's hilarious because I'm sitting there just like this. What does it say? Trying to read the small print. And there's nothing there. So I just look like a cuckoo bird. Good thing art teachers are crazy. There you go. Never know. Oh, there is Michael and Ella. Hi, guys. Welcome. Hi, Sam.
So much salt.
Guys, how many of you did this while we're waiting to start? How many of you did this is my one. I actually took a picture. Can you see it? This is my, remember last week on Friday, I gave you a challenge to do a scavenger hunt within your house. Let me zoom out a little there. And we have the Cubs and the Jayhawks represented. No March Madness this year. Mr. A's pretty bummed about it. However, we are doing our part, staying home. And we still represented the Jayhawks. Even though I'm a Chicago girl, really. But Mr. A is a Kansas guy. And did you do this scavenger hunt? Did you go around your house and try to create a color wheel with found objects from around your house? I've seen a lot of posts from last week of our art that we made together, but I haven't seen any scavenger hunt color wheel. So I'm looking for that too. Welcome, James and Sarah. If you have not done the color wheel, it's actually super fun. So try it out. It's fun just to see all the crazy stuff you actually have in your house that are all these fun colors. And I also am going to show last week, this is what we did. And we did two different things last week, but this was Friday. And Friday we chose few words that either described us or positive vibe kind of words. And we separated our space. This is my finished collab with me and Alia. Alia started my example for me, and then I kept going, couldn't stop. So now it's a collab. We're calling it Alia's middle name is Zula, so we're calling it a Mazula collab. Looking good. So that was Friday, and I've gotten a lot of pictures. If you haven't posted yours, either emailed it to me, had your parents email it to me, or if you didn't, you could have posted it on any kind of social media like Facebook or Instagram, and hashtag at class at Miss at art class at with Ms.A, Ms.A. I've seen a lot of them, and I'm like so proud. Love you guys for this. And we're getting close to our time. We're going to start soon, but I thought maybe I'll start over some of the supplies that you need, some of the materials you need. As you guys know, I'm really trying to use things that you have in your house. And we've been doing pretty good at that so far. We've already done some calligraphs. We did some printmaking. We talked about collage. We did all the elements of art. And today we're going to incorporate all the elements of art into what we're doing as well. And I have a whole list of materials because I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to do it. But if you're missing something, like I've had a couple of people reach out to me that they were missing liquid glue. If they didn't have liquid glue, you can do this. I'm going to show you in a minute. But you can do it with an oil pastel or a pencil or a marker, the same thing, because we're actually going to draw with the glue. So if you don't have liquid glue, you can still join with us today. It's still going to work. And then you can, like, one time when you do have glue, I'm pretty sure if you don't have glue, I know where it went. I'm pretty sure you were making slime, stealing all your parents' Tupperware. I'm no fool. Gone through 2 phases of the slime. I'm glad it's kind of phasing out. I'm hoping it's the phase out because it's everywhere. Ruining my house, ruining my sofa, ruining my rug. Okay, so materials today, guys. We just need some kind of paper. It can be white paper, like a computer kind of printer paper. Something like this. Most of you have something like this, just a sheet of paper. It can even be a loose leaf. If you have no other paper, or even if it's on the back side, maybe you have something printed on one side, but you're going to recycle and reuse and renew that paper. You're going to use it on the other side. That's totally fine too. Either way. If you have an old piece of newspaper, you can cut that and use that today. That's perfect too. Any kind of paper. Maybe you cut a cardboard box from some kind of thin cardboard from a cereal box, or in this case, chicken taquitos. They're going to have to start, we're marketing that, and I'm going to get paid promotions from that. Just kidding. But anyway, it can be from a cereal box, any kind of packaging. That's a soft cardboard packaging. That works perfect for paper. And let's see, what else do you have? Some of us are going to use a colored paper today. That's fine too. I'm going to show you how to use colored paper. Oh, Mia just turned on the lights. She just turned on the lights. Apparently I didn't have the lights going. Mia, my little sidekick. So any kind of paper you have. And I think we're ready to get started. So welcome, everybody. Let me read what's going on before, especially if you were here last week. You may or may not have seen me adjust the camera twice, where the phone may or not have fallen off of the tripod. So that's coming to Miss Art Class with Ms.A.'s blooper reel coming soon. And oh, I love who's Fluffy? What is this Fluffy? Hi Claire. Hi Sophia. Who else do I got? Hi Anna. Hi Steven. This is so fun. Hi, Luke. Let me see what's going on out here. Emily, Sean. Somebody loves taquitos. So do I. Hi, Blake. Okay, so we are going to start. And let me show you what we're going to do today first. So we're going to use glue, and if you don't have glue, I'm going to show you how to use just a marker or a colored pencil or a crayon. Anything can do the same thing that the glue is going to do for the most part. And when you do get liquid glue, you can kind of switch it up and go from there. So I have 2 different examples. One was on white paper, And this is what we're going to do. We're going to actually use the glue to draw shapes, lines, and then turn those into shapes. We're going to overlap. We're going to talk about shapes today. And this one I did with colored pencil, oil pastel, and I'm going to show you how to use watercolor too. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Timmy. Hi, Sam. Hi, Miss Manila. Oh, hi, Billy. Hi, Brady. And then I'm going to show you too, this is on black paper. This one I used paint, and I used oil pastel, and I used chalk pastel. Hi, Eddie. Hi, Ellie. And you can, hi, Sienna. You can use any kind of materials and do the same kind of thing that we're doing. You're going to get a little different effect, which is totally cool and totally fine. And we're going to basically create some very cool abstract pieces of art today, some masterpieces. And some of you have used glue with me in different fun ways. Hi, Isabella. Hi, Natalie. And we're going to, hi, Caitlin. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Joe. Hi, Luigi. Hi, Sophia M. So fun, you guys. This is so fun. Honestly, like, this is now, I guess, the 4th time we've done this. And I love it. It's so cool. It's so cool. So I'm glad you guys are joining me again today. And we're just going to keep going. And so what's going to happen first is I'm going to show you a couple examples of how we're going to start. And when I do that, I am going to go ahead and turn the camera off. I'm going to attempt to turn the camera off. Unlike last time when I turned the camera and things went all cuckoo. Oh wait, I still never told you the materials. Whoop, beep, 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 beep. Back up, Ms.A. I'm so excited about this lesson that I completely forgot to, what does it say? I cut my leg yesterday on and now. That's terrible, Eddie. Good thing you're not playing hockey right now, or you wouldn't even be able to play. Go rest that leg. Rest that leg, buddy. Okay, so your materials today are paper, any kind of paper, like I was showing you before. Liquid glue. If you don't have liquid glue, do not fret. We will be able to use any kind of pencil, oil pastel, marker to do the same thing because we're going to draw lines with the glue. Some type of cardboard or packaging. So something like I was saying like this, something where I went to the taquitos. A pencil. Everybody knows what a pencil is. Pencil. Let's see. Aluminum foil. The only reason if we need some aluminum foil, it's going to be to show you another thing you can do. A very, 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 very cool thing that you can do later. And it's similar to where we're going to make a print of it like we did 2 weeks ago. Or was it last week? 2 weeks ago? I've lost track of time. I'm sure you have as well. But with the aluminum foil, we did the collagraphs and we made a relief print plate and then we printed with it. You can use part of what we're doing today to also, besides all the awesome artwork that you're going to make with it, you can definitely also make a print as well. Coloring materials, any kind, such as markers, oil pastels, watercolor, crayons, anything you need. And then also, let's see, scissors. So speaking of scissors, let's do some safety, people. So, I just had to give Mia, my sidekick, a job. She needs to go run up and grab the aluminum foil because Ms.A. forgot to leave it in the kitchen. Okay, so welcome, of course, guys, to art class. Really quickly, I'm going to go over some scissor art safety. So today, if you do use scissors to cut any paper or the cardboard that I'm going to show you in a little bit, make sure that you're using your scissor safety. So with scissors, of course, they're sharp. There's a blade. When you pass it to anyone in your family, to your siblings, to your parents, make sure that you have that blade in your hand and pass carefully. When you're cutting, if I was to cut some cardboard right now, which I may. Whoa, I lost my newspaper. If I was to cut some, remember, always cut away from you. Can you see me? I'm cutting away. If I have to turn what I'm cutting, that's okay. It's better to turn what you're cutting and cut it off, then turn the scissors and cut toward you. Because you do not want to accidentally cut toward yourself. That's not safe, people. Let's be safe. Safety first, guys. Safety first. Now, remember, really quickly, before I turn the camera, I'm going to show you again what we're making. This is one example. And this one I use just the white glue. Again, if you don't have the glue, do not fret. You can use any kind of crayon, marker, oil pastel to draw those same kind of lines. You're not going to get the texture when the glue dries, but you'll still get the same appearance, the same kind of look, the same kind of feel. And then we're going to go here again to show you really quickly before I flip the camera. Here's another abstract piece of art that we've made. And this one was on black paper. It gives you a different effect. But again, I'm going to show you this today too. And we are going to start creating in seconds. And right now, I'm going to cross my fingers that when I flip the camera, that it does not, hopefully, it does not fall again. Although, honestly, it was actually hilarious. But, my goodness, like, not that professional, but Ms.A. did not know she was going to be making videos, making movies. So, right now I'm going to flip the camera. Everyone, you may want to close your eyes, do not get dizzy, and cross your fingers for Ms.A. that doesn't fall and the whole thing doesn't happen again. Okay, here we go. Ready, everybody? I'm going to even hold on to the phone. So funny. Let's try this. And no, please do not fall out of the tripod. Please. Okay. I think we're good. How are we looking, Mimi? I asked Mia how we're looking, and I see she's not even watching my thing. Oh, there she is. Now she's back live on my... She's supposed to be my sidekick, my whole art department. Last week, I had a very big piece of hair that flipped out by my own doing. But Mia thought it was funnier to just watch me with my funny hair than to tell me. Not cool, Mia. Not cool. All right, guys. So first thing I'm going to show you is if we were to make these examples, let's first start with the people who do not have glue. So if you do not have glue, you're going to basically do the same thing, but you're going to try drawing this just with an oil pastel or a marker or a crayon, anything you may or may not have. Well, not may not, but anything you may have that can draw a line. We're going to talk about all the cool different things you can do with liquid glue today. But if you don't have that, you still are going to follow along, but you're going to actually draw the lines with crayon, marker, pencil, oil pastel, whatever you like. Okay? So here's our examples, and I'm going to kind of push these to the side for a second. And the first one is I'm going to start on a black piece of paper, just to tell you if you have a dark color. Now, if you have, Mimi, can you grab me that, baby? She's going to grab me this newspaper piece. I just thought that a newspaper piece would be super cool, too, to add your different designs, because you can chalk on this, too. So, or oil pastel or marker or whatever you like. So, take some liquid glue. Oh, no. Actually, my goodness. Beep, beep, beep. Lots of fast forwarding and rewinding today, guys. Sorry about that. All right, let's first start with someone who does not have any liquid glue whatsoever. If you have no liquid glue, you can take a white piece of paper and do the same thing with a black marker or a black crayon or a brown crayon or a yellow crayon, whatever color you want. But I'm going to go ahead and start with this on a black paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about shapes. So there's two major types of shapes. There's going to be your organic shapes and there's your geometric shapes. Organic shapes are more rounded, usually not having flat sides. They're usually found in nature. And then your hold on, I need to peel a little off my pastel. Does everybody know that? If you have a pastel or a crayon, if it gets, where kids always tell me, oh my goodness, Miss A, my crayon doesn't work anymore. Well, it does. You just need to peel the paper back. So peel the paper back. That's fine. Make a little pile. You can recycle that later. And then we're going to do a geometric shape. This was an organic shape. Remember, organic shapes have rounded edges. They're more commonly found in nature. And they're definitely not easy to measure. Unlike a geometric shape, if I turn my paper a little, a geometric shape is a shape that's easily measured. They're the shapes that we know that we name all the time. They usually have flat sides and corners. So not always though, because a circle doesn't. It doesn't have flat sides and it doesn't have corners, but it is easily measured and it is a geometric shape. So let's draw a square first, and I'm going to overlap. So overlapping means that I crossed over. Do you see how I created a space between my geometric and my organic shape? I made an entirely new shape right in there just by overlapping. Overlapping is putting one thing on top of something else. So I just overlapped two shapes, one organic, one geometric. Now, what are some other geometric shapes we know? I have a pretty good view of my feed right now, so I can see. The last time I couldn't see what people were saying until I flipped it back. And my sidekick was, my goodness, God only knows what she was doing over there, but she's about to get fired. I'm just kidding. I won't fire you, man. I wouldn't really fire her, but no one told me the time. No one told me my hair was looking all crazy. I'm like, that's what you're for. That's part of your job. The job duty. Let's do another one. Oh, a triangle. That's a good one. Yep. Okay. Triangle's a good one. A circle. Circle can be measured. These are nice geometric shapes. Let's also make a fun organic shape right over here. There's a nice organic shape. And when you're overlapping, basically, this is the same thing. If you are using liquid glue, you're going to do the same thing, but on paper too. Now, you can use white paper. You can use black paper. You could use green, orange, yellow, purple paper. But you could also use newspaper. You could use, honestly, any kind of paper. You could use the back of a paper plate. You could use part of a piece of cardboard, or part of a cereal box, or part of your Perrier water. I'm going to need some funding from Perrier. I've used them twice in my videos. Somebody reach out to them for me. Say, Miss A's been promoting you. All right. There's also, with glue, we're going to use glue next. And some of you drew like this, but some of us are going to draw with glue today. And I'm going to put this one to the side. But now you kind of understand how we're going to lay out and overlap all of our different types of shapes, organic and geometric, and how we're going to fill up our space. That's our composition. Our composition's a big time art word, people. And everybody say it, composition, composition. So composition means it's basically how we lay out all the parts of our art and where we place them. So if I was to take a clean white sheet of paper, which I might need a black sheet of paper to put underneath just so you can see my white sheet. There we go. Okay. And I actually want a different paper really quick. There we go. Did anybody notice oh, you can't see them in my video. You kind of can, but I don't want to move my camera to show you my cute flowers. Got pretty flowers for y'all. Okay, so if you are starting and you actually have glue, and if you don't have glue on a white paper, You can use black marker and black line. Let's do it. Let's do it and even put glue over it. Maybe you want to make a shape like an organic shape. There you go. And maybe you want to do a geometric shape. Let's do one. I also overlapped. I put one on top of the other. Now, if you have glue, there's lots of stuff you can do with the glue. If you have liquid glue, there's different kinds some of you may have. There's even, you could have puffy paint. You could have 3D glue. They have metallic glue. This is going to be a little puffier and thicker. That's awesome. You might have glitter glue. It has all the glitter. I know all you slime lovers out there have some of this sitting around, or you don't because you used it all and all your mom's Tupperware. You can also take regular white glue, take the cap off, and put any kind of acrylic paint or temper paint for that matter, the kind you just get at the little craft store or the fabric store. And this paint, if you squirt some of this into your glue and then you recap it, make sure the lid is closed before you start shaking, people. And then you shake, 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 shake. And even when you think you're done shaking, you keep shaking. Shake, 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 like crazy shaking. It's a shake dance. You could have a shake party at home. Shake that glue, baby. Shake that glue. Baby, 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 shake that glue. That could be a new song too, guys. It's like Snap That Cap. Shake that glue. Shake that glue. Anyway, so if you do that, eventually, this one I added black to, and some of you have used black glue with me before. If you have a glue that's half empty, or you want to add paint to it just to make a fun, different colored glue, easily just add some kind of tempera or acrylic paint, okay? And it just, your glue, you don't need as much paint. You don't need as much pigment, as much color as the glue, but just enough. And then you can kind of adjust it, almost like a science experiment. Maybe you wanted a deeper turquoise, add some more. This one, I made black. I added black paint to it. And the reason I want to show you this really quick is if you add paint to your glue eventually, you might the first couple times test it. Make sure you shook it up enough. I'm shook. And then I'm going to go ahead and with that glue, I can kind of draw all these shapes. Instead of using a marker or a pencil or an oil pastel, I can use glue. I'm going to go organic right here, people. And what if I thought my line was too thin? Follow your line around. Be careful. I like to have a thicker line, but it is hard or difficult to keep following that line with a steady hand. You can always go back, thicken your glue line. But if you draw with glue, when it dries, and I stress, when it dries and you add all your color, oh my goodness, people, you are going to flip. It is so fun. So fun. So now I just followed that whole shape. So that whole shape, as well as my circle. Now right here, do you see how my circle went a little funky? Can you see that? I'm just going to go and thicken it in as well, just because Ms.A. likes to pretend she's a perfectionist. Well, I'm not really a perfectionist, but sometimes things bother me when I don't feel they're perfectly right. A lot of you know that about me because we've had to redo things tons of times. Okay, guys. So I'm drawing. So now in this case, I might put this to the side because that glue needs to dry. And you know glue takes, at least 15, 20 minutes normally to tack to something to stick. But in this case, how we want the glue to dry, it's going to take at least, I would say, 3 hours, honestly, to get a nice thing where you have the texture where how it feels. It's not going to be flat. It's going to ride up a little. And that texture needs to dry before we add color or it's going to smear. That could be the effect you're going for. You can try that too. I'm going to actually right now do another one, but with a white piece of paper. It's going to be more difficult to see because I'm going to be using white glue instead of black glue, because most of you don't have paint in your glue already. I was thinking ahead and I wanted to show you this, so I made some last night. But for most of you, you may not even have glue. And if you don't have glue, remember, you're just drawing these same kind of lines, but with an oil pastel or a marker or a pencil or a crayon. Now, if you have glue, when you are not with me right now, you can get really fancy and put a little paint in there and make different colored glue, which is so fun, okay? And some of you, of course, like I said, already have cool glitter glue or colored painted glue, and that's fine. You can use that too, which is, you're ahead of the game, people. You're ahead of the game. You're probably an artsy. So now I'm going to take a white piece of glue, or I'm sorry, a white piece of glue. Ha ha. I'm not taking a white piece of glue. I'm taking a white piece of paper. That's so silly. So silly. So if you have a white piece of paper, you can take this and you can go ahead and start drawing. Now, like I said, it's going to be more difficult to see what I'm doing with the white on white. It's like a polar bear in a snowstorm. You can't see him. But I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw. I'm going to do some geometric shapes. I'm going to do a circle. What's another favorite geometric shape? Anybody out there? What do we got going on? What do we have? Any geometric shapes? I'm going to do a square, and I'm going to overlap. Well, actually, this is not a square. What is this, guys? This is not a square. It has two sides that are about the same and two sides that are longer. That is not a square. What is it? That is correct. It is a rectangle. Good job, guys. And I'm going to do a triangle too. So I'm going to start with all geometric shapes right now. And I overlapped. Oops. That got a little funky, but that's okay. I like it. So I guess you can see where my lines are going. So go ahead, and if you have not started, grab your paper. Either start drawing with a pencil, marker, pen, whatever. Oil pastel. And then go ahead and take your, if you're not doing that, go ahead and take your glue and go ahead and start drawing your shapes with your glue. Do that now. So I have three geometrics. I overlapped. Remember, overlapping is putting something on top. And I'm thinking about my composition right now. So my composition is where I am placing everything on my piece of artwork, on my paper. And I like how I kind of centered these. I might want something that runs off the edge. Maybe I want one that's like, whoop, whoop. Maybe there's a circle over there. I'm liking that. Oh, I want it a little thicker though. Here, I'm going to come back a little thicker. Go for it. It doesn't have to be super thick, but the thicker it is, when you add color, you're going to start to see the different texture. Now, I'm going to also add some organic shapes. Remember, organic shapes are the ones that do not have straight edges, and they usually don't have corners, but I am going to overlap them. And if you notice, when my glue is still kind of dripping, I may have already drawn that line, but I follow the line with my glue bottle without squeezing until it stops so that my line is continuous. Let me show you that again. I'm going to do another organic shape. So I'm going to do an organic shape over here, and then I'm going to, it's going to stop, but look at it, keep going. If I went out, I'm going to just keep going until it ends. Perfect. Can I add a pattern in one of those? Why not? Why not, girl? I'm going to add some dots. I'm going to add some polka dots. So maybe some glue. So this glue will eventually dry, and when we start to add our color, which you can use watercolor, chalk pastels, oil pastels, regular chalk, markers, crayons, anything you want to, you can add to use for color as your medium or media, depending. Remember, does anyone remember? Actually, I should ask you that first. I'm adding another zigzag here. That's looking good. What is a medium? Anybody remember? It's your art tools. It's what you're using to make your art. Okay, so Watercolor is one. Chalk pastels, oil pastels, glue, marker, paint, anything that you're using that is one of your materials, that is going to be your medium. If it's plural and you're using more than one of those things, like today, it's going to be mixed media. Media is the plural for medium. And media is going to tell us what we've used. So this one right now needs to dry. Now, most of you, as you're working right now, are not going to be able to start adding color yet because you need this to dry. Some of you may have, these are for my little people whose families are crafting all the time. You might have something like this, a heat gun. If you have a heat gun, you could have, mom or dad or aunt, uncle, whoever's with you, probably only people in your house, as we all are. But this can heat up and it can dry your glue quicker. You plug this bad boy in. You can also use a blow dryer, like a hair dryer. If you end up using a hair dryer, trying to not drop my heat gun. If you use a blow dryer, that's good too. It can speed it up a little bit. It will speed the process up a little, but it can also push the glue and move it a little. So you need to be careful when you're doing that. But those of you who are in my class all the time know, if you missed a day and I'm trying to speed you up, I'm like, okay, go plug in the blow dryer. And that's our little art class trick. We always have blow dryers. People think I've been doing my hair, but I'm actually just drying artwork, drying glue and paint, people. Okay, so you can kind of see where my glue, where I drew my patterns, where I drew my organic shapes, where I drew my geometric shapes, and where I overlapped. This has now created my composition. Okay, I'm going to take this away for a second because this needs to dry. This be needing to dry, people. Now, I went ahead and I, of course, made a couple extra yesterday because remember, again, these are our final ones. This is one where we made an abstract piece, but on black paper. So with a darker background, you get a different effect than if I used white paper. Both of them, you can see where the glue dried and it created additional shapes and space on in my composition. So here again, you can see the same thing. Now I re-outlined on my glue, on top of the glue with the black here. And for those of you who don't have glue, this is more of the look you're going to get because I actually took my oil pastel and drew again. The more weight or the thicker you add to your line is going to change the appearance of your composition. Okay, so, and I also have, don't forget, if you were using painted glue, now that's drying over here, but that's looking good. And those of you who drew directly onto paper, here you go as well, okay? Now, if you drew directly onto paper, you can keep going with me right now. If you use the glue, you may have to let that glue, well, not may have to, you definitely need to let that glue dry and sit for a while and set. So while you're waiting, if you want, if you have another piece of paper, you can draw some lines on and make another one with us, or just watch along. Now, let me grab my ones that I let dry last time. Here we go. So on this one, which I'm not sure you can see, kind of, this one I did last night and the glue dried. So this morning I would have something to demonstrate with. Okay, so here you see the glue is dried. And what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and start adding some color. So I created my composition by, which is, remember how I place things on my paper. And I created that by using organic and geometric shapes. And I also overlapped them to create a special kind of creative composition. Now, all different kinds of materials we're going to show you right now. One, is, let's just use some marker because everybody probably has a marker. Go for it. In here, you can feel when I touch like this and rub across the top surface or massage the top surface of my paper, I can feel exactly where, I can see it too, but I can also feel where that shape that I created was. And the cool thing about that is it makes it easier to color in that exact shape and follow my composition that I slowly created. So there's one of those fun shapes. Now that is definitely an organic shape, people, don't you think? It's a good one. I'm going to do, well, you know what? I just threw that marker over there like nothing, but as we talked about before, it's fun to use repetition. Repetition is a great way to make your artwork cohesive and have unity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use that same color. Oh, I went out of the line a little. It's okay. Don't you fret, people. Do not fret. I'm going to also take some yellow. I have a yellow marker. I'm going to come over here. And I'm coloring in between where the glue dried. If you are waiting for your glue to dry right now, go ahead and take a piece of paper, an extra piece somewhere, or a scrap piece, or a piece of newspaper, anything, and draw out those same kind of shapes so that you can color along with us. You can add more to that later and have two pieces of artwork. Now, I'm going to also start adding some colored pencil. I'm sorry, oil pastel. But you can definitely use colored pencil too. Colored pencil is good. Now, if you have a paper towel or a Kleenex, something like that, you might want to go ahead and pull that out right now. Because when you use oil pastel or chalk pastel, it can get messy, people. We're talking messy. Ms.A.'s favorite way. And what you want to do is you color that in and then take your Kleenex or paper towel. You can use your finger. You don't even need it really, but some people don't like their fingers dirty. Ms.A. doesn't really care. Ms.A.'s fingers are covered in paint and clay and stuff usually at all times. At all times, people. And then I'm going to keep going. Take some oil pastels. So what I'm basically wanting you to know is you can be switching materials. Go ahead and start filling in all of these shapes you created. Because the crazy thing is when you're doing this, you really start, when you first put on your original organic shapes and your geometric shapes, you start creating tons of little tiny shapes within your piece of artwork. And you do that by overlapping. I might even take some of my orange in my yellow because I like to add value. Even on top of my marker, I might do that. Go ahead. Maybe you're someone who only has marker or crayon but doesn't have any kind of oil pastels or something like that. Well, let's do that a little too. Remember, if you're someone like that, go ahead and take your marker. I've shown this to you a couple times now. But go ahead and take your marker, outline part of it, take a paintbrush or your finger or a paper towel with some water and go ahead and go into that marker and it's going to start to bleed. The color will bleed, the pigment will start to spread. You can always add more marker into it too. And you're going to get a completely different effect, which is really fun. Okay? And I like to use things more than once. So where am I going to use that? Also, if you get any other kind of pigment or marker on your markers, remember to just kind of go back and forth until you get that pigment or color, that icky color that you don't want on your marker off. Now, I am going to show you something before I keep coloring for a second. Next week Friday, for what we're going to do, you either need food coloring or liquid watercolor. And if you don't have food coloring or liquid watercolor, I'm going to show you how to make some of your own liquid watercolor right now. So if you have a little jar or a little cup or anything like that, this one I've obviously made green in, and I'm going to use it in a second. But if you take, where's my pliers, Mimi? Mimi, are you helping me? Oh, they're right in front of me. Okay, so if you have an old marker, like look at this. This marker does not work. It is pretty sad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this marker, and I have a pair of pliers. You might want a parent or someone to help you. Something to hold on and grab onto that tip, that felted tip. Pull that out and stick that in your water. Now that marker is no longer a marker. It's a sad, we need a moment of silence, people. Moment of silence for the marker. A lot of you guys know about my moment of silences because we recycle all of our markers. Our librarian at school, Miss Burke, sends them all into Crayola, but we save them for her. But right now we're going to use some of them to drop into just some water. Now by the end of this class today, you're going to see that the pigment from those little felted tips of those old markers that were dried out and didn't work is going to turn our water to the color, whatever, in this case pink, whatever the color is, so that we can use it as liquid watercolor, also like a food coloring. So in this case, I did this probably about an hour before class, and you can see that one of them I couldn't get out actually. So I just stuck the whole darn marker right in my water. But the other one, there's two markers, and the other one I pulled out with my pliers and stuck it in there. And now you can see I have a green liquid watercolor. So you can use your markers to make watercolor. So I'm going to take a little paintbrush real quick into my green. And you can see I'm able to paint the color. Get a little more on there. You see that? Yeah, you can see that. So I actually have watercolor without actually having either caked watercolor or liquid watercolor. And on Friday, we're going to be making kind of a clay dough type thing. Modeling clay, something you can reuse over and over again. And you're going to need food coloring. So if you don't have food coloring, you can use liquid watercolor, which actually even works better, honestly. But you can make it yourself by just sticking your old markers or the felted pieces. Have someone help you pull out the felt tip with your pliers and stick it in a little jar of water. And if you have, or a little cup, whatever it is, if you have a lid for the jar, that's even better because you can actually cap it and keep it safe so no one, the dog don't come and spill your watercolor. That's not cool. Our dogs would definitely do that. They knock over everything. My goodness, they're wild. Okay, then if you have just, let's see, let's keep going with some chalk pastel. So chalk pastel, just chalk. Some are softer than regular sidewalk chalk, but you could use regular sidewalk chalk. And if you're someone who's using, let me grab my black example. If you were using a darker colored paper, you can also use these, of course, directly right onto your artwork, okay? Now, chalk gets a little messy, of course. No biggie to Ms.A. I love messiness. But be careful. Make sure wherever you're working that you have permission to be making a mess. Don't be just making a mess everywhere. Nobody likes that. All right, so when you take the chalk pastel, I'm going to move that over here, actually. You can keep going. I'm going to add maybe another color. Here's some red. And you'll see the glue, because my glue has dried on this one. This is another one that I did last night with the glue. And it dried for me today so that I can add my color. And just keep going. And I might even start blending colors. Maybe I want a little pink in my red. Okay. Maybe I'm sticking with warm colors right there. That looks beautiful. And to let this set, if you're all finished and you want it to dry, well, not dry, I shouldn't say dry. It's already dry, but to not have all that chalk dust like this keep coming off and getting all over you like this, you can go ahead when it's all finished and take like a hairspray, like an aerosol kind of hairspray, old school. Your moms will know. It's like an 80s hairspray kind of spray. You take something like that, you can spray it and seal it so that this chalk does not keep coming off every time someone admires how beautiful your artwork is. And you know they're going to touch it even though they're not supposed to touch it. Every museum says, please do not touch, but well, I don't touch in museums. I wouldn't say museums, but other places I do. I touch, or I knock on it, or I tap on it to see what it's made of. I do it secretively so I don't get in trouble, but you're really not supposed to touch. You guys know, even at my art show, I have signs all over that say, with us, our art show, says, please do not touch the artwork. But I have to admit, I am guilty of touching the artwork as well. So you can keep adding. If you're adding chalk, that's great. If you're adding oil pastel, depending what you're doing. You can also add oil pastel on top of a chalk or something like that. Here I'm going to add some yellow. I can blend those together. So this is now an oil pastel on top of the chalk. Maybe take that extra Kleenex or paper towel you have and take that with your finger and start to do a nice blending. You can kind of add some blending going on. All right, I'm going to push this to the side. And I'm going to keep going. Now, if your oil pastel or your marker or anything gets other pigment or other color on it from some other kind of material or medium, remember, you can easily, same as the marker, just go ahead and take a clean piece of paper and wipe it until your original piece of media is clean and clear and looking brand new. Maybe not looking brand new. My stuff doesn't all look brand new, but it's looking good. It's showing the color it's supposed to be, and that's the main thing. Okay, so now I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to add some more oil pastels. Oh, this is a fun one because it's neon. Neon's always fun. Also, neon glows in black light. So if anyone has any black lights and you have something neon or fluorescent, hello, fun. Welcome to fun, because you can just turn those lights on, turn all the other lights off. And you got, well, those of you who are my students know for a fact that it's fun, because we've done part of our art show under black lights. And I'm loving it. It's so fun. And I hope to goodness we get to do that this year too. I don't know what's going to happen, but if not, we can just do it from our homes, and that's okay too. So here I did marker, but maybe I want to add some oil pastel on top. That's totally fine. Maybe I want to add some crayon on top. That's totally fine too. So let's add some crayon actually. Maybe you only got crayon happening. Okay, well that's good because crayon works too. And don't forget, if you only have crayon, you could also do a texture rubbing. Maybe put some texture under one. Where is my avocado netting? Here it is. Remember this from last time, my avocado netting? Let's try it. Why not? Okay, so I'm going to come in this section. I'm going to come in nice and press really hard. Oh, look at that. In my shape. And I still stay, because of those glue lines, in between that shape. Look at that fun shape. I'm going to take mine around the edge. So you can, and I'm going to use it in another spot too because of repetition. Remember, repeating something, doing it more than once, going over and over on the same thing. So you can see the texture. And maybe I want to overlap the color. I'm using the side of my crayon. The side of my crayon, not the tip, not like a pencil. Using the side of my crayon. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to do that up here too. So depending, some of you are using marker, some are using crayon. Some of you maybe started making some liquid watercolor if you didn't have watercolor already. That's a fun thing, especially for those old sad markers that ain't been working no more. All right, and now I'm going to go here. I'm going to keep adding. And I'm just going to keep doing this until, let's see, I want so many colors, I can't even. But I'm going to try repeating the colors. I'm going to do a time check with Ms.A because, gosh, we know she's probably not being the sidekick that Ms.A needs. Mimi, time. Time, baby. What is that? 119? Yeah. Oh, my goodness. We're really moving. Okay. Who's opening the door, too? Is that the dogs? Oh, my goodness. Guys, if it's the dogs, we don't want them. They're wild people. Well, they're pretty darn cute, but they watch out, world. Okay, so I'm going to keep going because we are moving fast. And let me add a couple more materials, otherwise we'll run out of time. Okay, right here. And I think I'm going to do another orange up here really quick. Go ahead. How are your guys coming along? What's happening? What's happening, everybody? Has anyone, since it's April 1st, played any April Fool's Day pranks? Does anybody have any new goals for the month of April? Ms.A wants to start doing a gratitude journal. I've tried many a time, but I feel like this is a good time to do it. So I'm going to start doing that. Just listing some things I'm grateful for. Not writing a whole bunch about it, but just maybe a little list, something you can look back for at and remember all the good things that are happening in your life. Like you guys are going to be on my list today. If I start my journal, which I'm planning to, then you guys are for sure in my journal. I'm going to be grateful for this, for hanging out with you for today. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to add some more blue here. And do you see how it's also creating those lines in between because of the glue? So you can see all my shapes starting to take form, which is super nice. Now, because we'll actually kind of run out of time, let me just show you a couple more techniques that, of course, you can fill in with. If you have watercolor, you can definitely go into your watercolor. Let's go into right here. I'm going to get some water. Make sure you count. When people, a lot of times when they do watercolor cakes especially, they need a little time to activate. But all you need is stick a little water in there, and next thing you know, you can go. Now, if you did any kind of patterns, like here I did the glue kind of patterns, these little polka dots, you're going to see, I'm going to go back in my water, that my color is going to show up. And can you add more color on top of this paint once it dries? Yeah, of course you can. You could add some dry, maybe you want to add some colored pencil, maybe you want to add some crayon on top of this, maybe you want to add some acrylic paint. I mean, anything. The sky's the limit, people. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it in this. I'm going to go ahead. Let me finish this color off really quick. And I'm kind of reading some of the posts. And I'm just kind of going around. I'm going to fill this in. Remember with watercolors and any kind of paint, sometimes you want to do 2 coats. And that means to do a second layer. So once your paint is dry, you a lot of times want to go ahead and add a second coat of paint. Another fun thing in watercolor, some of you know this from me, is take some regular table salts and go ahead and toss it into your wet watercolor paint, and ta-da! The salt will start to dry up and soak up the paint, soak up the water, and it leaves a really cool effect. So if you have some table salts, make sure you try something like that. Okay, so right now I'm not finished, but maybe I am. But I would actually add more. I would wait for some things to dry. I might start overlapping colors. Maybe in my yellow, I might add some orange. Some of my, add some more color in there. If I was working with this, maybe I would take some regular paints. If you have any regular paints, you can absolutely take a little acrylic paint or temper paint and paint on top of a color, add that in to be a value with it. Maybe I don't want it through the whole thing because I use the oil pastel, but maybe I want it as part of it. You can definitely do that. Maybe I want to add a little even on my wet watercolor. That's fine. Go for it. Start blending, going around. And the glue, remember, is going to leave this really cool effect because when that glue dries, it creates all those shapes that you actually created, and you are able to then fill in all of those spaces to complete your composition exactly how you want it to be. And remember, abstract means, well, abstract art is not realistic. Abstract means that it doesn't look real. It looks, well, what they would call abstract, but abstract artists basically use lines, shapes, and colors to interpret things they see. A lot of times when you see something realistic, you're actually looking at a photograph or something that looks exactly like something. It looks real. It's realistic. In this case, you can draw things that are abstract. Just use lines, shapes, and colors to interpret your same vision, and then you can create your own abstract piece of art. Okay. Now, lastly, really quick, I want to show you this, and then we'll flip. On this one with the black, I did take a black oil pastel at the end because I wanted it to pop, and I started drawing